Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of Bikinis, plural, in the brain. We are double bikinis today with, of course, the lovely Phoebe Hagen and Ashley Kaltwasser, as always.
Hi. That's his favorite part
That's
of this
my whole,
podcast.
we could be done with the podcast and I will be content. So we have a good topic today, of course. As always, Ashley's shocked that we have a great topic today.
Unlike the other ones that are just mediocre.
Unlike the other mediocre topics. Today's topic, actually, Ashley, you want to go into it? The long. Yeah. Ashley has not much to say today. She's going to talk very long with her words.
So yeah, I mean, gosh, Phoebe's here till Olympia time, so we got to take advantage of the time while she's here. So I was thinking, hey, a great idea would to kind of have a podcast about, two bikini pros, both with the same goal, but prepping differently, because I think it's important to let people know that, just because one person has this amount of macros and does this cardio and eats this, it's not the same for everyone, and it should never be the same. That's why cookie cutter plans are not the best, right? No. We're all so different, although we might have the same goal. We're going to get there in different ways, depending on our body and everything else. So the good thing here is that Coach Adam does both of our preps. So he knows all the inside scoop between Phoebe and I, and we can go into what's similar and what's different about the way we prep heading into Olympia.
No, I'm excited. I think it's something that not a lot of people kind of talk about or have the opportunity to talk about because, like you said, everyone is very different. And everyone obviously is always on separate teams and stuff, but luckily enough, you have two of us on the same team and we can talk about it together, which is cool. So, yeah. Yeah,
I think what's important to really go into with this topic is that when you're coming up in the industry and you're just starting to become a competitor, you have your competitors that you look up to. It could be, a lot of times it's structural. You'll see a girl and you're like, oh, I like her look is similar to my structure, so I want to be like her, so I'm going to look up to her, right? Yeah. And then you start seeing her diet and you're like, oh, I should do that. But really, you might need to be doing someone's completely different diet.
I get a lot of questions about height. So I'm like one of the taller bikini girls in the industry, and a lot of people are always like, oh, tall girls, like we have similar structures. I look up to you because you're tall. And I'm like, okay, that's totally fair enough. But that doesn't always mean that we'll be on the same level in terms of what we need to do to diet down or to gain muscle or anything like that.
Yeah, I think although it's super flattering that we get these questions, at the same time, it's like, I can tell you what I do for cardio, but it's not going to translate to you. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people obsess over how many macros is this competitor eating? Yeah. How much cardio do you do, Ashley? Or they might even say something along the lines of how much are those dumbbells that you're lifting, because they want to emulate your exact movements, but you can do it, but the results are not going to be the same, and maybe this is not the right plan for you. So I think it's important to put it out there, because although, like I said, it's super flattering that somebody wants to emulate you in the way you prep, it's not always going to work out the way you think it will.
Yeah, and do you know what I think sometimes when they ask these questions are sometimes to just justify what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? I feel like, obviously the main probably point is to kind of be like, oh, I want to, see what they're doing to see if I can do the same and, get the same results. Sometimes I do think it's like, oh, if I'm doing this as well, or if I'm doing this and Ashley's doing that, okay, cool, we're doing something similar, so I'm on the right path. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense sometimes.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's what I'll get. I get that a lot too from girls who have coaches and they'll be 6 weeks out from a show. And they're like, well, my coach has me doing this. And my answer is always well, listen to your coach. If you trusted them originally, don't ask 6 coaches, because you might get
and
4 different answers. Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of ways to get the same end result, and so don't get confused, and not necessarily my way isn't necessarily the right way, because the right way is whatever gets you in best shape, right? That's really the answer. So that's the thing that people need to really look at is, if you have a coach and they're telling you what to do and they have a proven track record, of course, they're not hurting you. That's another topic, but then just stick with that, because there's, what do they call it? Analysis paralysis, where you get so much information and a lot of it could be right. A lot of it could be just different ways to get there. And then you just don't know which way and you get confused and you're like, oh, maybe I should be doing this because this client did this or Phoebe did this. Ashley does this.
So it's hard to then have your own opinion and even enjoy the process of it, because then you're constantly thinking, oh, like you're looking at other people's journeys more than your own. Like you're looking at Ashley's journey and being like, well, she's doing that and I'm doing this, so maybe I should do what she's doing. Oh, but Phoebe's doing this, so then maybe I should do what she's doing. And then you don't even end up getting your own end result. You just end up following what people want to do, or like what you think people should be doing, if that makes sense.
And also I want to like preface it too and say, you know, to the girls out there, because there's a lot of you girls out there that are doing this, and it's just, it takes away a lot of the joy of the prep. Don't overthink everything too much at the same time. You know, I have, like I got, especially during peak week, I get and I don't mind when my clients message me during peak week, because I understand what's going on. They're like, they're freaking out because it's peak week, and they're like, oh, if I have one extra shred of lettuce, like it's gonna, how many calories, you know, and so it's like, don't let the joy leave because you're being so analytical and you're staring at everything, because if you're not getting you're not getting, you know, the right end result because you had an extra cup of lettuce. Like there was a lot bigger problems than that. You know, there was something else that wasn't that. Yeah. So like, don't let the joy leave from it too. But today we're going to go over like a couple different things that both of them do. And honestly, some things are different too, based on not just how their body responds, but the mindset too. You know, Phoebe feels really good when she has these big carb loads for like the next couple of days, and she likes being full. She doesn't like it when her body goes flat so much. It messes with the mind a little bit, right? And I've learned that over the years, and that's fine. And you just work a way around it. You know, it's not that hard. You know, she gets a bigger reload once a week, but that's worked into the total weekly calories, right? It's like, okay, Ashley, for example, doesn't necessarily like those carb reloads. Doesn't make her
scare me.
Yeah, they make her. So you see, it's like totally.
And I can't really tell that much of a difference either. Honestly, I'd rather just keep it consistent on a day to day.
And so
that's my preference.
That, like on my end, it's like, well, it's not really data based. It's more so, okay, keep them happy, because if they're happy in prep and they're confident in prep and they're confident in their bodies, they're going to perform better in the gym and get a better end result. If I have Phoebe flat for 3 months, she's going to be like, I'm so flat, I lost my butt, and you know, all these things, and it messes with your head, and it really does, and it messes with everyone's head, you know. But that's just something, you know, I've learned from you. And if I give Ashley, you know, a 500 carb reload, she would be like, this is way too much. Like I'm going to get fat, right? It's gonna be like, so it's like you different things, and then you just kind of formulate preps. Like you have to look at everything, not just how it's going to respond, but how it's going to affect them mentally in the gym. How's their energy in the gym, right? Because that's the one thing too that I always look at is, okay, if the diet's so hard that their workouts are being dramatically affected by it, the workouts are going to be affected by it to some capacity, no matter what, with the low calories. But if they're so affected by it, is it worse to have a little bit higher calories and better workouts, or is it worse to have really low calories and bad workouts, right? So it's like you have to weigh that out. Where's that perfect capture point where you can still have good workouts and the calories are low enough where we could still get into those low body fat levels. So it's all these little things you have to work into it. But for example, so just until 2 weeks ago, just to give you some contrast, Ashley's diet was at the 1,700 calorie range until last week. So, and now we're in the 14s.
That's a lot for me.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not a big eater.
Yeah. That's an close to off-season calorie range for Ashley. She's in prep for the Olympia. So
yeah, I could, well, from the last show, Nevada State, I think the highest amount I got in weight was 124. So that's just like 2-3 pounds off of stage. Yeah. So I never really went into a true off season, because right when I stepped off stage, it's like, well, time to prep for the Olympia. Yeah. So I had like a one month of kind of like more relaxed, I don't want to say a break, but more relaxed diet, more relaxed training. I wasn't even doing cardio there for a little bit also. So, you know, just like a little, okay, give my body a mini break, and then time to push it harder for the finish line. So pedal to the metal now.
Yeah. It's how many weeks is it?
It's 2.5 weeks now.
Yeah.
And it's a week and a half for you, because you're actually going to compete. Can I say it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. She's gonna compete in Texas the week before the Olympia. So she's prepping. Oh gosh, it's like almost peak week for you now.
Yeah,
then. Oh my goodness.
It'll be peak week in Saturday.
Saturday.
Monday. So.
Ooh, that's the show that I was like debating doing. I was like, I want to maybe do it because I always look better the second show. But then I was like weighing I was like, no, it's not smart strategically for me to do it. Yeah. But I'm going to make sure I'm going to be ready though.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited. But one, I've never been to Texas, so I've always wanted to go. And then two, like I think that production, that show, I'm really excited for it. The promoters look really good. And I know I think this week has definitely been a little bit more like hard for me because I've had a few more opinions saying like, oh, that's risky. Like, the risk behind that and all that type of thing. And it has been messing like, should I do that show? I don't know. Like, is that a risk? I know that's a risk. And we've spoken about that before.
Every show's a risk.
Yeah, every show's a risk. But
you just got to do it.
That's for me. I'm just looking forwards and just kind of staying steady with it and just being like, no, I know I wanted to do this. I want to do it. And then, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. And so another example would be situation based, right? Yeah. So her peak week next week is not going to be the full peak week of a Olympia peak because Olympia is 6 days. I mean, literally after that show, it's a week away. Yeah. So she'll be 6 days out on the day after the show.
Yeah.
so it's like, that's the real peak week. So, but the good thing is, going into this, luckily we're in a position where that's not going to hurt us because we've been doing these 1 day reloads. And we've done so many 1 day reloads, we can now see, okay, what does she look like after that 1 day reload? We have probably 5 relevant check-ins, I would say, that are after the reload, that you're lean enough where we could really look at it and be like, okay, that's what she looks like after the reload. When she's lean enough where you can actually see it. Like way down the road, it didn't really matter as much, but now you can kind of see it. And so it's like, okay, we have that in our ammunition. Her body's not going to respond and freak out when we do that 1 day reload. So we could kind of just walk on stage and then just do that reload. And that gives you, another example of just different things you can do in prep. So that's going to be a fun one. And Phoebe's prep has been a little bit harder, getting her to this.
The thing is, I feel when you say, because you said this whole time harder, it's been longer but not harder.
Yeah, I guess I'm referencing harder to, well, I guess you could probably weigh it out too. Ashley's prep technically is longer because it's consistent, right?
Yeah.
I'm always impressed.
So really, it's like if you weigh out the difficulty, is it days or is it?
Because I feel like this has been my easiest prep ever that I've ever done. Like so yes, we started at, because I will hold my hands up to it and I always do say like my starting points aren't always the best of what they could be. Or for some people anyway, or for me anyway. And we started really early. And I say really early, but I've seen people start preps at like 20 something weeks out before when they've needed to kind of lose a large amount of weight. And we have. And we've been consistently dropping every week though since that kind of like marker. And we haven't kind of been dieting the entire time because we started harder. So the first 4 weeks, I'd say we started quite hard. We added in cardio again and obviously had food slightly lower, but I was ready for that and I didn't mind that 4 weeks at all. And then we reversed out of that, but I was still dropping. So we carried on reversing and then we brought it back down again at like 16 weeks. So it's just been really consistent. It hasn't felt like, oh my God, really hard. The last 2 weeks or so has probably felt the hardest prep because we're close now. Yeah. But the actual process of it and like you were talking about before, mindset of it, I think I was ready for this full prep in general. I think before, for the Arnold's UK back in 2021, that was a good prep, to be fair. That was a good steady prep as well. But the Arnold's US, that was for me definitely the hardest one because again, we weren't in the best position and my body just wasn't happy. Like it didn't want to lose weight. It didn't want to be in prep. And my mindset wasn't, I wanted to be in prep either, which I totally hold my hands up to. And I think sometimes that is hard when the athlete not doesn't want to be in a prep, but if you're not in it fully in a prep, it's just not going to work. And I was trying to really, I want it because the Arnold's US, you have to you have to apply, you have to get accepted. And I think for like 3 years now as a pro, I've applied and not gotten it. So when I got it, I wanted to do it. But I just also didn't. My body didn't want to do it. My mindset did not want to do that show. And it was really hard because I was like, I want to do it, but I can't at the same time. But I think now I've learnt that if I want my preps to be successful, I have to be in it fully. So that's why I didn't do the Arnold UK. I got invited to it, but I didn't do it because I know I needed more time. And I definitely, because someone asked me the question the other day, like, do you regret not doing it? And I said, no, I don't regret not doing it because I got to experience it as a spectator, which was absolutely incredible. I got to give you the trophy, which was that was literally one of my like favorite moments of 2022. Like that was so cool. And I'm now bringing my best package to the best show in the world. Like that's priority, you know? And I feel like that's something very like important to kind of say.
Yeah. I think that's important too. And I appreciate you always, being open with that too. Yeah. Because as we've worked together too over the years. We're at 3 now, right?
Yeah.
3.
No, 4 years next. 4 years next year. 2019 we started. 2019.
4 years soon then.
Yeah,
It's like
4
3
years
and a
next
half or
year.
something.
Yeah, 4 years next year.
So it's cool. It's cool to see because as I get as a coach, you know, you have to stick to like an ideology or it just won't work. You have to stick to something. It's like, okay, this works. I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to mold my things around this. Right.
Yeah.
But then you get athletes once in a while that kind of force you to be a little bit more open to things and change things a little bit. And I had one years ago named Nicole Fabrizio. She's a pro figure girl now. And she would do similar things in like the off season, right? I'm always like, oh, stay lean in the off season, like within 10%, whatever, right? She would go, and it was funny because we coached together for like years, right? And she was like, it's just like she's like you, like my buddy. We're gonna get in our little fights and stuff, right? And she's like, Adam, I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do in the off season, and then I'm just gonna crush an 18-week prep every time. So just give up on it, right? Like she's like, and then she would always show up. She'd always show in shape, and I was like, well, you make a strong argument.
Yeah.
She's like, for me, I feel like I put on more muscle, and I feel like I reset my mind and I need that little break and I come in and then I'm ready to go. Once prep starts, I'm ready to go and I'm able to go harder than being like, feel like I'm always in prep, feeling like I'm always in prep the whole time. And I was like, there's a strong argument for that. And I did both as a bodybuilder. I didn't do them both direct, I didn't do them both as, how I could say planned. I guess I did one when I was younger, I would just bulk, I was just like, so I kind of would do it indirectly, but I was doing it. I just did it. And I thought I was doing it the right way.
Yeah, you thought you were doing it the right way, but it wasn't.
I was like eating pizzas and stuff, but really I was just taking breaks.
Well,
and I was like,
You're like, I'm bulking, like I'm eating all this food and this, that, the other, which again, you can argue is right, but it's not.
Yeah,
it's not.
young bodybuilder Adam was a funner guy.
More fun.
He had a lot of food.
He had more flexibility.
A lot of food. And then as I got older, but so it's cool to see because it does. These are two different ways of the approach, right? Two extremely different ways. Ashley she's basically always in prep to some capacity, whether it's keeping it in track. The breaks might be mini, a couple of weeks with no cardio, that type of thing, but she's always there, right? And obviously the result has worked really good. Phoebe has like a little bit of a break in the off season, right? A little bit of a mindset break. But the result is working just the same. Like it's like the end result is good. You're going to compete less, but the end result is two different ways of doing it.
I
so
think
I guess
that's important as well because I think I used to compete a lot. Like in 2019, I used to compete. Shows, 8 shows. But that was when I was trying to qualify, I think. Yeah. And then obviously COVID hit, and then we couldn't actually compete as much or travel as much. But you compete. How many shows have you competed in this year?
This year, 11.
Last
year was like 14.
We're talking about it being a slow year. We're like,
it was a slow year this year.
We were like, next year, let's just throw it.
Next year,
let's just go for it. Let's just, we're both
That's so funny.
We're both like, kind of boring, right? Let's do something.
I was like, shoot, I had regrets. I should have competed more.
Yeah, Texas is my second show this year. And then last year, it was 2021, I only did 4 shows. And then the year before was 2. And then the year before that was 8. So it was like... It's been like up and down, but I don't compete nearly as much as you do anyway. But also I'm not near shows as much as
That's
well. Being in Dubai now anyway. And even in the UK, like there's obviously now a lot more opportunity in Europe, UK, all that type of thing when I lived there, to travel and all that type of thing. But I have to at least travel probably at least 3 hours on a flight or 3 hours somewhere to do a show. But now in Dubai, it's like at least 8 hours or at least 20 hours or 21 hours.
Yeah, I think that's something to note. I mean, gosh, it's really convenient for me. I think I would say either Vegas or Florida has the most abundance of close shows.
Yeah.
But being in Vegas, gosh, how many shows did I compete and they were just here?
There was loads. There was loads.
And the Olympia will be 4. Yeah. So
Olympia's
literally just drive down the street. That's nice. And then I've done a few shows this year that were just like an hour flight, like in Utah, the Salt Lake City show. I did one in California. Like there's a lot of close shows that's like an hour. So that's something to note. And I think like it definitely, for those of you out there, it's something to consider too, is like where are you located and how convenient is it for you to compete? So that's one of the reasons why I'm sure you don't compete as much. If they were in your backyard, if there
were shows in Dubai, I would like that would be so cool. Like I would love that. I think there will be definitely as time goes on because I think it's growing as a country in the bodybuilding world. But I think if there was closer shows to me, I think that's why I did compete in 2019 and 2018 because there was more shows that were closer to me because I was in the UK, in Europe. But yeah, so that's something to definitely take in for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. And I wanted to go back into what you said about like having the right mindset to prep. I can totally relate to that because I've had a few preps, not recently, but like years ago, where I just wasn't in it completely. Like I was just like, ugh. And it just felt like so much of a task. And it's funny because it's like, you know how you said like this prep was actually considered easy for you. It's because your mindset is in the right spot. And it's funny because you can do the exact same things, but at different times where your mindset is either like all in it or just like not. And it can determine whether it's easy or hard. You know, your experience is kind of based on your mindset. Like sometimes I say like the best pre-workout sometimes is your motivation. Just like you can be super tired, but if you're motivated and you're like so focused, you're just like, I don't care. I want to do this workout and I'm looking forward to it. Whereas like maybe when your mindset's not quite there, you can have all the energy in the world, do the same workout, but you're kind of dreading it. You're just like, ugh.
You just can't.
And it just seems so much harder than it actually is, like just because your mind isn't there. Yeah, like it's more of a task rather than something you're looking forward to.
And that's sad because like that, like you said before, it takes away from the process and the journey, because ultimately we're on stage for like what? Maximum 30 minutes as a pro, like in whole, like that's prejudging finals, maybe longer, but like that's 10%, not even 10%, but really small amount of the entire prep. You know, all the work is done in the actual prep itself, the process of it. And if you don't enjoy that, then why are you competing? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, why, if you don't, because you compete because you love it, right? Mm-hmm. Like you do so many preps and you keep this consistent because you love it. That's what brings you joy. If you don't enjoy it, then what's the point in stepping on stage? I personally think anyway. Mm-hmm. So for me, when I stop enjoying the process, that then makes me think, why am I doing this? Like, why do I actually like doing this? And you then have to remember your why, and you have to be like, okay, let's take it back a notch. Like, because I so openly said this kind of on my YouTube after the Arnold's UK, because I didn't feel the Arnold's US, this year in March. Obviously I didn't bring my best, and that's always not the nicest feeling, obviously, of course. And then I was dreading prepping for the Olympia, because I was like, what happens if I feel like this prepping for the Olympia, you know? Like, I've been trying to get to this show for 4 years, and if I don't enjoy this process of like what I've been working for like, 7 years, why have I done this the whole time? And I was worried, because I was like, what happens if I don't find the love for bodybuilding again, and I didn't, you know, I don't enjoy it. And that's one of the reasons as to why I've come over to the US so early, and 2.5 months before, so I can just be in it and be here and be with Adam, be with Ashley, be with people that inspire me and motivate, you know, the journey that I've worked so hard to be in.
The fitness environment in Vegas is crazy, right?
Like it really is. Like there's now it's grown so much. Like I remember coming in for the Olympia in 2019, and it was still huge then, but it was nowhere near what it is now. Like it's grown hugely since then. And I do think, like we said, environment, the people you're around, your mindset is so important to a prep. It's not like you just need the tools, like you just need to diet and train and that's it. Like you need everything. Like your mind needs to be all in, otherwise it's just not going to work. It's not going to work. So, but yeah.
I think that's something to take into account, like all the stuff you said about the journey and everything too. And I think sometimes people forget that. And it's like that with everything in life, you know? Like everyone wants to go on this journey to get something, right? Whether it's an Olympia win or your best physique, or, you know, it could be someone who's working, they're like, one day I want to get that Lamborghini or whatever, right? But it's funny is that these guys who get these things and they actually end up getting there, right? They get it and they're like, yeah, it wasn't all that, you know?
It's not the end product, I feel. Like I've been telling myself this recently, because obviously, I mean, for me anyway, for 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. And then a year before, I've been trying to get to the Olympia for 4 years, like as a pro. So it's been a long journey, and I'm trying to like take in every moment as I can, because like this has been something I've been really, really like working for a long time, you know? And I'm really, really excited, but I'm trying to prepare for after as well. Cause like, it could be not what I expect. I don't think it is, because I literally think it's going to tick every single box I've ever even imagined, because it's the Olympia. Like I can't wait, but trying to set yourself up for what's after the goal you've accomplished, if that makes sense, you know, like, okay, cool. What's next? What are we now going to work towards? Cause we've gotten to the Olympia. Now we're going to try get to it again, try and get top 10, try and get top 5. Do you know what I mean? Try and like put goals into place so you don't feel like, oh, cool, I've been working towards that. And you get that massive like dip. I feel like that's why a lot of people sometimes get that post-show blues.
Yeah.
Because, or I don't know if you've ever experienced like the post-show blues where you kind of like, you've worked towards, I mean, you compete a lot, so that might be why, but you compete, you do a show and then you've achieved it or you've gotten that goal and then you're like, okay, cool, what next?
You know, I get bored in the wintertime whenever there is no show. So that's kind of relatable.
Yeah.
But I think that is the reason why I compete so much. Is just like I'm extra motivated after shows, and sometimes it's like, well, if I have no place to put that motivation, it's like
that's where the blues will come.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's really important to tell people, like, have a plan for after, not just like your reverse diet and training, but actually like goals. You know, maybe you should do a photo shoot, or maybe you should, have something super structured, or anything that you're, precisely going to put your efforts into action for something. So it doesn't just go to like waste,
And just enjoy the journey, I think, is the most important thing. So let's talk about the guy with like the stories of like the Lamborghinis, the guys with the big houses, they get these things. Once they get them, they don't even care anymore. Yeah. They end up selling them usually within a year or two.
I know so many people in Dubai that literally have bought like Lamborghinis and everything. And then they're like,
it's not practical. They're like, it's like the day of celebration is great. But then it's funny is because, I've had friends do this, and actually, I'll tell you off of one who did that or two bought an R8, and he's like, that thing was just a pain in the ass. He's like, getting into it was hard. I got a ticket. He's like, it just wasn't practical. He's like, but you know what I remember though? He's like, well, I remember when I first started coaching, and I was like, you know what? Maybe one day I'll get one. Maybe one day I can get one. And I remember all those little things. And what's funny is like me now too as a coach. I talk to Tori sometimes. I'm like, remember when we were like at Club USA, like this small gym. It was just me and you training people, and like we were like growing, and it was just like remember the journey of getting everything, right? It's not like I could have looked at like the gym and the prep center, all this, and I've been like, one day I want this, I want that, right? But then you get it, and you're like, no, the journey. You got to remember the journey. That's the fun part. So like all of you out there who are doing your shows and getting ready for shows, just remember the journey. And I think what's really important as well as part of the journey is that and this is an unfortunate part of prep. Unfortunately, a lot of people will kind of isolate themselves in prep, and they'll just be like, this is all that matters, this is all that matters, all that matters. But I will tell you this, at the end of the day, if you go through your whole prep and you don't isolate yourself and you have your friends and your family and you don't lose your boyfriend during the process because prep was more important for some reason. How many people do you know that happens to, right? Yeah. And then at the end of it, you like enjoy that journey with them and you get to celebrate that with them. It's so much more rewarding. And then at the end, you don't have to like start a new life, when you're done. So you're like,
I say this to you often, and like, I respect a lot of people. I respect you, both of you, and like randomly, I don't know why I named this person, but like Jay Cutler, for what they do after either they've finished competing or like stopped, they've built a business on top of that. And that really inspires me to do what I'm doing now with creating my business, my brand, everything like that, because I don't want to be known as just an athlete in a body. Like you see so many bodybuilders, like men bodybuilders that obviously, don't get me wrong, like their success has grown from that, grown from them competing, putting themselves out there, going to meet and greets, all that type of thing, and being an athlete. But when they step back and they don't have those competitions to step on stage, what do they have? They haven't got anything behind that. And I feel that's not what I personally want to be or what I want from life. And that's not part of the process for me, just to be an athlete. Like I didn't come out here, because I get, again, a few questions saying like, did you just come out here to just prep? And I said, no, I've come out here to network. I've come out here to build my brand, to be more established in the US, and all that type of thing. And it's worked, that's why I wanted to come out here. One of the other reasons, because I wanted to, have the best prep I could do, be surrounded by people, experience, and just have life here as well. Yeah. And I think that's very important, especially on prep, is to just not just. It's like a double-edged sword, because obviously you want to put your all into that prep. Don't get me wrong. Like you don't want to just give it 50% and then give the other 50% to something else, but you want to be all in, but you also don't want it to just consume you, in a way that that's all that matters, I guess. I don't know. So I don't know if you, what do you agree? Do you agree? Or?
I mean, yeah, I agree. I don't mind being just an athlete though. For us, if that's what people know me as.
No,
sure,
no,
okay.
no, I know. I think that's good as well. I do honestly do think that's good. I don't look at you as just an athlete.
Oh, well,
I see. I mean, I don't see as in, okay, so not an athlete.
I'm kidding. I'm
not an athlete, but I think just a body, for example.
Oh, I am, for sure.
You're not. What? I don't see you as that, though.
Ashley just devoted herself to Instagram model on the podcast.
What?
I'm just
Send her a like, guys. Send her a like.
I'm just joking. This is a joke. I always just say like my personality is my hamstrings, and it's a joke. It's a running joke. I'm more than just a pair of hamstrings. Okay.
Yeah,
you should get a shirt. You get a shirt made more than just a hamstring.
Hey.
You're more than just. We need a T-shirt saying that. I'm more than just a hamstring.
Yes, or some like leggings that like show off my hamstrings and just like say, "Hey, eyes up here, buddy." Like
just like a mesh, mesh on the pure mesh on the hamstring.
Hey, eyes up here
with the eye emoji, like looking. I mean, so.
Oh my god! But no, I don't see you as just that. I see you as like again, because you guys have created the podcast. You get put a lot of informative information out there. You know,
totally.
You're not just. Oh, Ashley Coltswater's like her body is amazing and like her shoulders are there, and that's it to you. You know, you have a lot of informative information with your Instagram, YouTube, and you put a lot of stuff out there for people to then take in and not just be, oh yeah, like I like the way she looks and that's it. You know
I know what you mean. I am actually very aware of that. And I always like to say like sometimes fitness people are super boring because they are just, this is what I eat, it's miserable, suck it up. You know? And I guess my message to the world is this can be fun.
Yeah.
Fitness can be fun. Prepping can be a good time. You don't have to have a miserable prep. You don't have to have to look at it in that negative light. Like it's such a task. So that's like one message I want to get out here is like, hey, no matter what level you're at, this can be fun. You don't have to dread it. You can get in the best shape of your life and learn a lot along the way. Now, as far as you, I'm very much like, I'm very, how do I say this? I'm not saying I only live in the moment, but at the same time, I don't think so far ahead to where I have my life planned out like that. Yeah. All I know is I'm going to be doing something within the realm of fitness forever. I know that. Now, as far as what do I do after I'm a competitor, I'm not sure. I'll be working for Adam, I tell you that. But like I'm going to do something within that realm. But because I always get that question too, is like people kind of want like a precise answer out of me. So what are you going to do when you're done competing? Like, what are you going to do?
I don't even
and it's
know
like,
that,
it's like, does anybody know what they're going to do?
No. In 5 years, I know people have like 5 year plans. I don't because like.
I don't think that far ahead.
No, I didn't think I'd be moving to Dubai out of the blue in a pandemic.
You never know.
Did we even think the pandemic would happen ever? No.
Exactly.
So like nothing is like actually
we could
set
even
in stone.
String together years of shows with you with that whole thing. We got to, real quick, I want to go into Phoebe's like journey of like the Olympia, literally the hardest journey.
No, I hate, because you always say that and I'm like.
Well, there's only two girls I know who won pro shows who didn't qualify for the Olympia, you and Masa.
Yeah.
It was the only two girls I know that actually won a show and at the same year they won a show, it didn't qualify. So you guys know how the Olympic qualification works. It's win and you're in. That's how it goes. But for 1 year, it wasn't win and you're in.
Well, it was 2 years because it was 2018 and 2019, I think, and then they changed it in 2019.
So she won a show. She did really good in the show. She kept getting points and points. And it was this like massive points race. It was 10 girls, was it? 10?
Yeah. That was when like Issa was at the top and Jen.
It was crazy.
Was at the top, I think, as well.
That year was so crazy. Everyone was competing like crazy. And then they were like, okay, girls are competing too much. It's probably not the best thing to have all these girls competing so much.
Girls are still competing very a lot now because there's so many shows.
It changed the game, though, for sure. And then the next year was the next year the COVID year? Or was it the next year?
Yeah, no, it was 2019 was when they changed it. And then the next year after that was COVID year, yeah.
So there was like no shows to compete in and where she was from, and she couldn't get into the U.S., and then there was a show that there's like, okay, we'll allow top three. Whoever gets the top three here.
That was my idea because I messaged AM saying, hey, there's no shows in Europe like at all. Like this is the only time we can qualify. Why don't you do top three? Because there's no other shows we could do. He was like, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, and then she gets fourth. Me and Ashley were watching at the airport. We're like, oh, it's gonna be there, it's gonna be there. And they're like fourth. They're like, well, there comes next year. And then like so many like things that could have there was
but it makes for me honestly, like I was looking back at my journey the other day because like I do that sometimes, and it was just like, I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, I know that sounds really like, I don't know, but I feel like generally now I'm actually bringing my best ever package and my, like, I feel like that all those other times, you know, were meant to kind of build up. I don't believe in all those kind of like things or whatever, but it was kind of meant to be. Like, this was supposed to be me competing now. I wasn't supposed to compete at the Olympia back then. I don't know. I feel like very strongly about.
Yeah, I'm kind of that same way too with it. You know, I feel the same way with. There's some girls that'll get there just by doing a lot of shows and accumulating points and stuff. And I'm like, look, if you couldn't win any of these shows throughout the year, like, how do you expect to do against the girls that have been beating you all year?
Yeah,
you know?
for me anyway. That's for me. Like, that's not taking any disrespect or anything to anyone that goes for points, because I think it was a tough.
Now
time.
you're, you know, when you're winning shows and now you're ready to be competitive at the Olympia. You know, even if you were to compete the last 4 years of the Olympia, this year would still be your best year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, so I think that's some people have their you know, they just want to get there no matter what. I think that's great too. I think it's great because it's motivating for everyone to see that. But if we're talking about being competitive, like, this is the best way, you know, because we know for sure, you know, you've won shows against tough people, and you're gonna be talked about at least. We'll see what happens, you know. But you're there. It's not like, oh, you couldn't beat anyone all year, so we know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it. So. But yeah, that was quite the 2020 really threw things for a wrench, huh? Yeah.
2020 just in pandemic in general was just absolutely crazy. But no, going back to what you were saying, I don't think you need to I personally don't think you need to have like a 5-10 year plan.
Yeah.
Depend in fitness anyway. I mean, don't get me wrong, someone that's in like, I don't know, in like the business world, corporate world, maybe they have like set goals. Like, I have friends that are like not lawyers, sorry, but like in the business realm, and they have like, you know, mortgages that need to do. So they have like stuff that they need to like figure out job wise and all that sort of thing. So those types of things, they have goals, and like they're thinking about kids and stuff like that. I don't think about stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, I think like from the outside looking in, people see us and they're just, you know, just like you said, oh, I want to be more than just an athlete. They see us as just a body. So they think that's our only like talent, you know, like that's the only thing we're capable of doing.
Our body makes us money. And
you know, that's the only thing. Like, we don't have a brain or anything. We don't have any other good qualities. Nope. We're just a physique. And that's not the case. I mean, I promise you, even if I didn't do fitness after my competition career ended, I promise you I'd be good at it. You know why? Because I'm a hard freaking worker.
Yeah.
I am reliable. I'm always on time. Like, I'm confident in, like, even if I didn't want to go the fitness route, which that's not going to be a thing, but like, even if I wanted to do something totally different than fitness, I would be really good at it.
Yeah, because you know what I mean? You're hard, like you said, you're a hard worker.
I'm a hard worker. I'm confident in myself in that. Like, and you know, maybe even if the skill isn't something that I possess right now, it doesn't mean that I can't acquire it after, you know, some dedication. So that I am confident with. And I think fitness actually, you know, taught me these things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
taught me how to work hard, you know? So it all kind of, you know, whatever it is I do after, I'm sure it'll be just fine. And you know, I'm not living paycheck to paycheck or anything like that. It's not like I'm just going to be on the streets when I'm done competing. That won't be the case. I promise. Don't worry.
Top performers in one area are going to be top performers in other areas.
Yeah.
You know, what's funny is, you know, Ashley jokes and stuff, but she's actually really, really good and dependable. And I've talked to sponsors like behind the scenes. You know, I'm always talking to like companies or owners or whatever, sponsors, and they'll say, what do you think we're going to bring on this girl or whatever? I'm like, what do you think? And I'm like, well, if Ashley's your baseline at 10, she's like an 8 in terms of like accountability. Yeah. Like, I'll be like, you know, if Ashley's your baseline at 10, she's like a 5. Just don't book any posing workshops based only on her. That's funny. I'll create these things. I'm like, with Ashley, book a posing seminar like based only on Ashley. It's fine. She'll show up. There's no problem. But I'm like, there's other athletes like, you better book 2 of them just in case. Because they're like, well, who can we bring on that's like a 10? And I'm like, it's gonna be very few. It's gonna be very few. Yeah, Ashley's very and you help with like the podcast and things behind the scenes and with clients and with our programs and stuff like that. And Phoebe too. They were both very good business minded people, which is very rare in doing both, you know?
Yeah, that's what the whole
you have the biggest posing business in the world right now, right?
Whoa.
I think so, right?
The posing portal, cool. Right? Posing portal.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the biggest.
I mean, it's big, we've definitely got a big platform. I think we're definitely wanting to build it a lot more, but I'd say we've definitely reached out to the US a lot more since I've been here, which is cool. But yeah, I think it's cool.
Pause. we didn't say the name of it, or people are going to comment it in the comment section below. So just go ahead and say it.
Theposingportal.com.
There. Because you didn't even say it.
Really?
You're saying, yeah, I have the biggest business, but you didn't say it.
Yeah.
I was like, what? What
People are going to ask in the comment section.
Yeah. There's probably, some people that are just as known as a posing coach, I would say. There's probably like 4 big names that are like, when you think about posing, you think of like these names, but your name is definitely there. And then, but as far as like people that you're actually helping and get on stage and stuff, I think you have, just because your model and how it works, you kind of creating and changing, which is really cool to be part of that. It's funny when you're like changing the game and inventing things. I know the position you're in, because I did it for years. We had like the first team check-in app, and then the first team check-in website, and then all these different things that we did, and then video responses were first. All these things, and then people start like copying it. Yeah. And it's so frustrating because you're like, that's my idea. Yep. But then there's like, and everyone's like, oh, what do they say? They say copying is like a form of flattery. I'm like, no, it's stealing and a lack of creativity. It's an absolute lack of creativity is what it is. And I'm a creator of it. So, but it's funny is it keeps you on your toes, because then you have to like keep thinking, what's the next idea? What's the next idea? It's so funny. So I know that that you go through that. Yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is.
But bodybuilding teaches you that, because you always think like, oh, when's the next show? What's the next thing that's kind of coming up? And I think that's definitely accumulated in just my life and just business. I don't know if that's the same with you, but everything's always like, okay, cool, what's next? Because like we're so much like athletes, like perform and present, you know what I mean? Like we'll go to the judging table, be like, okay, cool, what do we need to work on? Sweet, I'll work on that. What's next? Do you know what I mean? So I'm always like, okay, cool. This is what I want to do business-wise. What can I do to make it better? Cool, I've made that live. What's next? So I feel like bodybuilding in so many ways has taught us different just ways of living in a different, out of society though. Like not like you said, living from paycheck to paycheck and just literally being like 9 to 5 and being like, oh, I hate this or whatever. So yeah, it's definitely taught us a lot.
Definitely. So I think it would be nice to actually, we kind of veered off a little bit off.
I was like thinking about that.
So let's talk, let's circle it back.
This is like basically us at lunch.
So although we did kind of vaguely hit on some of the points, let's kind of talk a little more specifically on exactly what our diet looks like right now and our cardio and our training. So I'm sure we have different cardio styles, for example, between Phoebe and I. You know why?
Ashley likes to run.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't see Phoebe run the 10Ks last weekend, so I think we have a little bit of different cardio approach. Okay, so for me, since I compete a lot throughout the year, I can get very bored with cardio. So you'll rarely find me on an actual treadmill and rarely find me on an actual step mill. Step mill I'll get like once, maybe twice a week sometimes. But I prefer Orange Theory fitness classes to burn calories.
To be fair, I do at the beginning of my prep, when I have more energy, I do like to do classes.
Oh,
so
you?
Yeah, so when I was back in Dubai, I did like to do some like the like boxercising classes and stuff like that to get my heart rate up and for it to be more fun, because I do feel like it's boring. It is boring.
Oh yeah, and in the summertime too, I like to do some outdoor stuff like walking, and they even have like a hill that's by me, a little mountain thing that I can do a little workout on. But so currently, like right now, I'm still doing like 10K races on the weekends, one time per week. They get they're much more fun than staring at a wall doing cardio on a treadmill.
Guys, Ashley is secretly a killer at these things, and she wins. Like, how many times have you won this month?
It's I wouldn't say
don't downplay it. I would never.
No, she wins. She wins like most of them. Well, I would say most of them.
Depends. It depends on the size, and if we're talking about my age group or the overall thing, it's not that big of a deal.
As a female category, you win more than that. Well, she wins. Like, it's crazy.
She wins.
She doesn't talk about it. She wins them.
Well, first off, I'm not a distance runner, first off. So I never want to brag that I'm a distance runner, because I'm not. Even when I was running in college, in high school, it wasn't distance. It was, I ran the hurdles, 400-meter hurdles. That's my event. So I'm more of a sprinter, if anything. But so I do them just to keep in shape. But, I'm not going to sit there and like brag about it all the time, because sometimes they're just small, low-key races for charity. It's not a big deal. But I don't win them all, and it's a 10K too. So I don't.
I don't win them all. That's fine.
I'd be bragging so hard.
I know,
If it was like a 5-step race, I would win.
No.
I'd be like on my Instagram with a trophy.
And I think too, me coming from like a track background anyway, I know what actual good times are from like college and stuff. Not for me running it, but for me, they're my teammates. So I know they're not that impressive if you're looking at it on that scale. So it's just something I do for fun. I don't train as a distance runner. Don't worry. I'm not putting in miles every day. Like I said,
that's cool that you still incorporated what you used to do as
kind of what I used to do.
Well, kind
there
of.
are no hurdles there, but
well, yeah. But I think that is cool though, because that's the background you've kind of come from, and you're like, well, I want to keep it interesting, and I don't want to do the regular cardio of like stair mill, treadmill, that type of thing. So I want to.
Yeah, and another thing is too, it's accountability. So if I sign up for it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah,
because I don't flake out. If I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
So if I sign up
I can
for
verify it.
I'm gonna do it.
100%.
Exactly. Even when it's dumb.
Yeah.
But I still do it.
Even when she's like in it, and I'm like, it's funny because now I know her. So when she commits to these things really far in advance, I'm like, are you sure? Like, because I know you're gonna do it. It doesn't matter if it's 5 shows in a row and 5 weekends. Like, I'm like, are you sure? Like, because there's no way she's gonna jump out of it.
Yeah,
Zero
I
chance.
say this is the life I chose, you know. But so yeah,
on the edge.
So like, you know, I've just been kind of increasing the cardio just these last few weeks because, like I mentioned, I was for a few weeks they're not doing any. But as far as your cardio, Phoebe, what are you doing for cardio these days? And how's it progressed from the start of your prep to now?
So it has progressed. So like I obviously I always like to say it at the beginning is like a lot of people now have desk jobs or like they don't move a lot anyway. So we don't typically do steps or anything like that. Yeah. I know a lot of people will have cardio-based movement, and then also steps that they'll that they have to hit separately. So,
to preface this, sorry to cut you off. To preface this, Phoebe used to get in the UK a ton of steps, and that threw things a little bit off because she used to get like, remember you were doing your posing weekends, it'd be like 28,000 steps a day.
Yeah, like it was a lot.
It was crazy. There'd be like 100,000 step weekends. It's crazy. And then I'd be like, by the way,
Adam, I've dropped 2 kilos.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, cool, we'll drop.
So her settings were kind of high going into it. So anyway, I'll start you there. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. So that was like in 2019, a bit of 2020. Obviously, then when the pandemic happened, then I obviously switched everything online. But like from like 21 to 22 preps, 2021 to 2022 preps, we cardio's kind of started as a baseline, like 30 minutes at least, and just kind of either kept at that off season kind of 4 or 5 times a week, or sometimes I won't do like much at all. But then usually at the prep, it will kind of start at the 30, 40 mark, I would say already, kind of getting that in 5-6 days a week. And then we increase from there as my body kind of changes. It's gotten at the moment 110 minutes.
Yeah.
110 minutes? Mm-hmm. Yeah, 110 minutes. So, which is high.
Yeah, that's really high. Yeah.
Which is high. But considering one, I don't move a lot. And I don't do any steps. So a lot of people will also do that amount of cardio and steps on top of it, like tracking steps, like tracking 15,000 steps, which we don't do. I do it all on the treadmill though, which is crazy because I actually found out this year, or like when you told me that, because I always do cross trainer and my legs would always inflame, and I feel like that was a lot on my quads, on a lot of the front of my legs would be very fatigued a lot of the time. Whereas my fatigue this time around, since we've swapped to treadmill, I don't know if that's obviously been the reason, but we've swapped to treadmill. It's hard. I didn't realize it's a harder machine?
You burn more calories because you're less stable environment.
Which I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that in terms of like running and like being on a treadmill and stuff. So, but I've always thought that cross trainer was quote unquote harder than a treadmill. So I've always done that. So we switched to treadmill and I feel like it's been easier, but it hasn't, if that makes sense. It's weird. So, but yeah, my cardio kind of can go up to right now, like I said, 110. And I split that up into 2, sometimes into 3. If I do like a warm up, I'll do 20 minutes before a workout and then after a workout and then in the evening or the morning or whenever. And I typically don't mind it because I use cardio as like my time to just get away from work and I use it to watch my like Netflix or YouTube or just something that's just mind numbing where I can just be out of, because I've been like working a lot. So I just want to kind of have me time, if that makes sense. And I know not a lot of people always look at it like that, but yeah, I do.
Yeah, and we can go into the different theories of that too. For both of them is a little different. So Phoebe had to come down this year. This year she needed to come down on her legs a little bit more.
Yeah.
And we're looking at her like, okay, your balance is good if we can get your legs down just a hair. You're just a little bit heavier on the bottom, like bottom heavy with the in terms of like the muscle and everything. So doing more cardio and kind of walking off some of those legs and getting that body fat to come down a little bit. And she does hold more body fat in her glutes too.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing that we're worried about. So like, okay, we need to lose a tiny bit of just tone down the muscle a little bit in the legs and then also bring down the body fat in the legs. So we're going to go a little bit more cardio intensive. Now that would be totally different with Ashley. And again, what you have here is you have a contrast in frequent or volume versus intensity, right? So you have intensity running 10K, 5K at a faster pace. You have walking at a slower pace. And you have, of course, you're going to have higher volume with lower intensity. You wouldn't be able to sustain that full running speed for 110 minutes a day. So it's a difference. It's always going to be that weighing out volume versus intensity. And in these scenarios, these two work out the best. So that's for this particular scenario of these two different physiques, it works out really, really good. So yeah,
definitely. So how about, let's talk about some training splits. Okay. So generally speaking, and this could change, as I get closer to show and whatever, usually my training splits look something like this. I'll have one glute focus day, one lower body day that's more leggy than glute, I guess you could say. So those two are the lower body days. And then I have 2 shoulder days because that's the area I'm lacking like the most. And then an arm day and a back day. So that's typically what my training splits look like. I try to get the stim machine like at least once a week with Sam. Sam trains me like a few times a week, and then Adam trains me once a week. But I think for me personally, like that is, believe it or not, that's like my weak spot is training, because I need to have a babysitter, basically. I need to have a babysitter. It's funny because I'm much better at diet than training, if that makes sense. I mean, not that I don't push myself. Of course I push myself, but somebody needs to push me. Whereas diet's like, it's easy breezy. But to me, it's like if I'm not, sometimes I can, take those really long rest periods because I'm zoning out. Maybe I'm just like, meh. Just going through the motions. So for me, that's like my weak spot. Not to say that I don't work hard when I train. Of course I do. Oh, yeah. Thanks to Adam and Sam. But that's like, I noticed that about myself. I've always had somebody train me or coach me, keeping eyes on me. So I think I've kind of been spoiled throughout my whole life, in gymnastics, of course, in track, everyone's telling me what to do, watching me do it, doing it along with me. So to do it on my own is a little hard, even though it's weird because I can do cardio on my own, no problem. But like when it comes to training, I can zone out.
To be fair, I've had like the last year, 2 years or so, I've had training partners and stuff like that. Like in 2021, when we were competing for the Arnold's UK, I had a training partner throughout the whole of that, really. And then obviously I was training, but I do like training by myself, sometimes, to really zone in and kind of do my own thing.
I don't. I like being told what to do.
I love that. I mean, I like that as well. Like we obviously train once a week now at the moment, and I do like that because for some reason it always falls on a day where I am tired. Yeah. So I'm like, thank God Adam's training because I need someone to push me today. But I do like to just have my headphones on, just listen to my playlist, my music, not take my time, but just do my workout my way and just smash it and just be in my own zone. Okay. I don't know why. That's what I really enjoy. And in terms of splits,
a lot of people are like that.
Yeah, I like to just, because I feel like it's my time, me time. Do you know what I mean? It's not like an in and out type scenario. I want to be there and just do my thing in a way. So, but in terms of splits, we kind of have the same split as well. I'll do glutes and then a leg day where it's not for me quads, but hamstrings.
Right. I don't train much quads. No. I don't think it's really necessary in bikini. I think it can hinder your physique actually a lot of times. If I get quads in it, it's okay. I'll do it every once in a while, but it's not something I'm focused on.
And it's more of an overall leg versus than an isolation. So glutes, kind of legs, hamstrings, and whatnot. A shoulder day, a back day. And then two shoulder days actually, a back day, and then I will, if I feel like I can, which to be fair recently I have been training 6 days a week. But sometimes I train 5 days a week if I am really tired to take that recovery off and just do cardio that day. So I train between 5 to 6 days a week. But I have a lot of muscle mass anyway, so I don't feel like
you're more blessed in that area.
We're
struggling over here.
But I definitely feel like it's because of the environment that I came out of. Like when I first started training, it was like, I want to be a bodybuilder, like as in like a male bodybuilder. I want to train how they do. And the environment, I feel like in the UK wasn't as, what's the word? It wasn't as experienced, and we've spoken about this before.
Yeah, they're just a little bit, I would say the learning curve is just a little bit behind over there in terms of like full bikini preps. Most of the bikini girls I've been in contact with, and a lot of them still are, to be fair, just training like almost powerlifter bodybuilders, a lot of compound, heavy
and don't get me wrong,
movements
that built my muscle,
yeah,
that built
it's a
my
good way to
foundation,
build
it was
starting.
great, but once you have it, you then have to adapt.
Yeah.
And that's what I think where I love, like if I could, and I obviously don't anymore, but I would train so hard and so heavy. Like I love training like to progressively overload. I love it. But I obviously know that's not required for my criteria, and I don't want to go up a category. So I know I have to kind of downplay it a little bit. In off season, don't get me wrong, I'll have maybe 1 or 2 days where I will be like, okay, cool, let's do heavy glutes. Cause like, it's not one day a week. And maybe if I have like that, I won't grow hugely. It will maintain my muscle, but I just have to be careful with what I do go heavy on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, with bikini, like advanced bikini training, it's more of a sculpting thing than it is. Yes, bikini building.
You literally told me that in 2019, and that has stuck in my head ever since. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm bikini building. I'm not bodybuilding.
I like to refer to it in stages. So you have bodybuilding, which is your very first stage. You just got in the gym and you're trying to build a base. That's the bodybuilding part of it, right? Everything's built. You're doing everything. Some girls will even do chest because they're not really even considering doing a bikini competition. Yeah, it's like, and in bikini it's like pointless, right? But they're not really considering doing a bikini competition at that point. They're just building a base. And then they build that base and like, okay, now I decide I want to do a competition. So now you need to do the bikini building. Now you need to build the parts for the bikini. And then you need to do, once you get your base of your bikini built base, which you both are at, now it's bikini sculpting. And now you're sculpting the physique to be that perfect criteria of balance, of making the pop in the right areas, the glutes, the hamstrings, the shoulders. Looking at your posing, like when you pose, okay, does she have enough V-taper on her lat? Is it too much? Is it too little? And then it's like, okay, exercise selection. How can I get the waistline to be smaller? And then so that's the bikini sculpting stage, right? So you're picking the right exercises, the right loads, the right everything, and it's like you're putting this like, it's just this long project, this long art project, you know? That's why I like bikinis the most. I love bikini because it forces you to be an artist, you know?
Yeah.
And it forces you to like look at someone, okay, how are they going to do best? And of course you get the help of the judges to help guide you, but as you go farther and farther, you're like, okay, how can that girl look better? How can this girl win knowing she has less muscle than that girl? Yeah. How could this girl win knowing she's going to be probably too dense when she's on stage and too conditioned versus this girl, right? So it's like, how do you sculpt that physique? And it's really cool. And that's the hardest part. I would say that's the hardest part, that bikini sculpting stage. So
because it can get boring.
Yeah.
And I know I've spoken to a lot of people that they are at the capacity of their muscle level, you know, and they're like, I don't want to go up a category. I don't want to downgrade either. Well, they can't downgrade from bikini anyway, but they don't want to go up a category, but they want to continue, you know, muscle building or something like that. But like, they just can't bring that look. That's not what the criteria is. Yeah. And it becomes very difficult because you're like, okay, cool, where do I stand? And I think that's more so the pros. I've spoken to a lot of pros that are, you know, at that phase where they are muscle building. They've reached the capacity pretty much. And I think if I was to carry on, if I was with a different coach and I wasn't with Adam, I probably wouldn't have, you know, got my success I have now, because I would have had that same mindset, because we were fighting for a while on that, because I was like, no, I need to maintain my muscle. You're like, you have your muscle. You don't need to build anymore.
Yeah, it's funny as it's not funny. There's a sad part of when a girl reaches that stage. Yeah. Especially the girls who like to lift. There's some girls who, me personally, as a bodybuilder, like when I was bodybuilding, if someone were to tell me, hey, you could work out less now, you're there, I'd be like, dope, dude, this is great. Oh, dude, if you told me I could work out 3 days a week hard versus 6 days a week hard, but I would give more to those 3 days because I'd be more excited. But, you know, it was years and years of doing it. I'd be like, okay, but it probably only for a short period. Probably after a while, I'd be like, okay, I kind of miss at least 4 days, 5 days. Yeah. You know? But I will have that with bikini girls. where they reach that level. And it's really kind of a tough day for a lot of these girls, because usually the girls who reach that level like working out because they,
that's why I started competing, because I liked the challenge that it brought to me and my physique and everything like that. So training wise, I enjoy that style. I really enjoy that style. That's why I started doing boxercising classes and stuff as well, to mix it up, to do something a little bit different, to challenge me more at the beginning when I had the energy and stuff. But it's tough, because when you reach that level, like when we train and stuff, I'm like, I'm so weak, and he's like, it's not actually that weak, and I'm like, this is weak for me. Like, this is weak for me anyway. And I take pride in being able to kind of like be a little bit more like stronger. I like that.
Yeah, I've had a couple girls that were at pros and they got a little too muscular, and then I was like, yeah, we're going to pull back your workouts and basically not work out much at all anymore. Like, you're pretty much just going to do cardio and just do like a shoulder pump once a week or whatever. And they're like, I'm not even, like, one girl was like, okay, like excited for like the first 2 weeks, and then she came back in and she was like, you know what, if this is what it takes, I just don't even want to do bikini anymore. She's like, if I have to go up to figure, I'll just go up to figure. I want to lift. And then she like left. She was like mad at me when she told me. And I was like, it's not my fault. I'm just doing what you want me to do here. You know? And then she like left the office and went and worked out. It was at an armrest at the armrest office. And she went and lifted like a boss. She's like, that felt so good. I don't care where I end up. And I was like,
I don't care where I end up anymore. Again, that kind of circles back around to kind of doing what makes you, at some extent, making the process enjoyable for you, you know? And that does suck when it comes to the point, and that might be, you know, your way to exit the competing world, or, you know, choose a different path or whatever. But you always have to do what is best for you at the end of the day. Sometimes, don't get me wrong, you have to sacrifice stuff as well. Like, you can't, there's no way around that at all. But if it's really to the point where you just don't enjoy it anymore, like, again, you have to look at your why.
Yeah.
So I think we should also go into a little deeper about our diets. I know Adam kind of touched base a little bit on the carb loads you do, and I know Adam mentioned that I was previously at 1,700 calories, now I'm at 14-ish. So Adam, why don't you go ahead and tell us the differences now between Phoebe's calories and I, or besides the carb load day. So
the carb load day has been varying from Phoebe. From 150 has been on like our lowest carb load day, right?
That was last week,
and then it's been average. I would say been averaging about 200 on the carb load days. So
last one, the first one you gave me was 250.
Yeah, so that's 1,000 extra calories from carbs, which is pretty for a bikini competitor. That's really, for a bikini competitor doing the Olympia this close is a lot.
And that was about 9. That was at 9 weeks out. So at that phase, you would have thought, okay, this is a point where we still need to keep dieting.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, we were seeing a good result of having these carb loads, because my weight was kind of dropping out of nowhere, which was kind of unheard of. It was like we were dropping 1.5 kilos randomly, and we're like, oh, but like energy wasn't. It was taking away from my energy. So we're like, okay, cool. Let's have more carbs for this day, and that would kind of keep me, you know, on tack for like 5 or 6 days or so, and then we'd revis and see like, okay, cool, how's energy been, how's training been now? And my weight was still dropping, so we were like, okay, let's keep that going in a way, because it was working. Because
it's been working so well, we've kept it consistent in the diet. The only thing that's fluctuated has been how many extra carbs.
And what different carbs. Like, we've been experimenting. So we had a burger and fries, which I literally fought him on. I was like, I'm not having that. My mindset was like, I don't want that. I don't want.
And that was more so for like a mindset thing. Like, give her a break. Like, she's good. She's earned it. Like her.
But I didn't
break.
want. I don't know if
I thought you were going to be so.
Tell you to have a burger right now.
But that wouldn't happen. I would say, you know what, Adam, never mind. I should just not compete at the Olympia.
She actually would say that. She got mad when I gave her Gatorade.
Oh, he told me about that. He went.
She was like, let's just not even do it.
If this is what I gotta do.
She came the next day. She's like, I'm sorry, I was a crank.
I was cranky. Well, you know, it's kind of like, maybe if I wanted to have it on my own time in the off season or whatever, I just, when you're just so focused. I would be the
exact same. I don't want.
Yeah, I don't want to be forced. I don't want to be forced carbs, forced food if I'm not hungry or if I don't want it like that. So like, it's just, I mean, it's a weird thing.
I'm always open to refeeds, but when he said burger and fries, I was just like, I don't know why. I was like, no, I don't want to do that.
It's like you're so in the zone. And I don't know about you, but I get a little scared sometimes. I'm like, if I'm so in the zone and I'm like, can I just, if I'm looking too lean, can I just have something more like safe? Because to me, like the foods I'm familiar with, when I get so close to a show, I like to play it safe. Now the burger and fries thing, okay, whatever. When I'm like 2 months out from a show, that makes sense, but it's scary sometimes.
We wouldn't do it close to it.
We were out, like that was like at 9 weeks out.
Yeah.
That was very far away. But I was still like, I still had to get lean. So I was like, is this going to stop everything? Like,
well, I thought about it.
It's not,
I thought about it and I was like, okay, do I really want to give her, I wanted to see how you would load with like the fats and stuff too. I was like, do I really want to give her coconut oil for her fats when we have like this rare opportunity to just see what this is like? Or do I want to give her like a mindset break? And so it was like more of like, okay, let's give her a mindset break. Let's see what it looks like when she gets some sodium in. No gluten. We did a gluten-free bun on it.
Yeah.
And then we calculated the calories of it. We did all the calorie calculations.
1,400 calories?
Yeah, I want to say it was close to 1,500, and there was like 57 fats or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, do I really want to give her rice cakes and coconut oil like this?
If we were to have a carb load like that from clean foods, which I understand the analogy of it, if we were to have a carb load like that with clean foods, my stomach, my digestion probably wouldn't be.
Yeah, it's more volume.
Great.
Too.
It's so much volume. So I understand that. But it was just that in the moment I was like, no.
Yeah, it was just more of a hey, we can get away with it right now. I wouldn't try it close to a show, but we can get away with it right now. It'll give you a good mindset break. But at that point, your mindset was already so like in the zone.
And then I
like,
texted you and I was like, okay, I've just finished cardio. I will have that burger.
I thought you were going to be like, so I just thought I was going to get like all excited emojis or something.
I was like, no, I don't want to. And
I was like, oh, and Phoebe's in the zone. I was like, so it's been fluctuating her carb reloads, and we've been kind of watching it because here's a scenario, something for you guys to take into consideration too. I like doing, so for people who are dieting down a little harder, I like to do the carb loads a little earlier throughout prep. I'll do them, if I can get away with doing them the last month, let's say every week, the last month, whatever. I would like to get away with that if we can, if you've been dieting really, really hard. Because what I've found is that when someone loads carbs really hard, like the last 2 days before the show, and they haven't had any carbs for like, let's say 14 weeks, and they are usually puffy for a longer period of time. But if I get that your body used to getting those carbs in you earlier, and like maybe we're doing it every 10 days or every week, like the odds of you getting really, really puffy when you get your next carb load, it just seems like the body's less sensitive to it. I've just learned that in my experience. So I try to do these things earlier. And if I could do some weird things earlier on to avoid that last day puffiness before your show, like I have girls doing nationals. I had a lot of them do, the girls who could afford it, I had them do like a carb load, like a bigger carb load the week prior, last week, and then on Friday, and then they're going to check in on Tuesday to like their official peak week start. So I'm like, okay, they're already kind of loaded because we've had some load carbs, and now I know when I load them, I don't need to load them as hard, so I don't need to have as much of a guessing game. And then also, they're not going to react as bad, right? And then they're not going to have as much volume in their stomach the day before the show too, so their waistline is going to probably be smaller because now they have a little bit of preloaded carbs, and they won't need as many carbs to load, so they're going to have less volume of food. So it's like all these little things, if you can get away with it, makes sense. So anyway, with her diet in particular, what's been happening is we'll have those carb loads. She looks good the next day. And then and we look at the pictures for like 2 days, and we'll kind of see, okay, how is she looking better the next day or the next day after that? And then what happens is she's having these weird weight losses. Like there's been times where there's like 2 kilos lost after. And we're like,
well, I don't know if you got my message today, but I have dropped a kilo.
Did you again? I haven't looked at it yet. Yeah. So it's like, and then we're talking kilos.
We had a refeed on Friday. It's Monday today. So
that's 2.2 pounds. So like it's a weird thing. And if you give Ashley that type of scenario, well, we don't give her that big of reloads, but she doesn't have those huge fluctuations when she has that. Hers are, for some reason, yours are really pretty dramatic. Your fluctuations.
But I also am taller.
Yeah.
Remember that I'm taller. Like I don't know why, not much taller though, but like
we're talking about how tall you are, and we're going to get asked this in the comment section. Yeah. How tall are you in American metrics?
I'm 5'8.5".
Okay, and I'm 5'5" inches.
Okay. So
5'5.5". I'm almost that 5'6".
Yeah. So, but I feel like sometimes that does make a difference.
Yeah.
Like that. Well, it does make a difference.
Yeah, percentage wise, I like to look at things as percentage per person. But percentage wise, you do lose a lot because some weeks are too. What was the biggest? We had like a really weird one time this prep.
Well, when I fly. Which is, I said this to you because we went to Pittsburgh together recently. When I fly, I drop a lot. And I don't know why, but I always drop. So when I came to America, came here however many months ago, I dropped like 2 kilos out of the blue, and then it just stays like that. It just stays low. And I don't know why that is, if it's like, but I don't know if it's because my body's like rested or done something. I have no clue why, really. But yeah, and then you said that you on flights you don't like. Would it on flights you?
I don't usually. Sometimes I'll retain water. Sometimes but lately no. When I got off the plane from the UK, I was really small. But I don't know if it was just a water thing.
No, but you also traveled for 24 hours. That was a long time.
But yeah, so I don't know. You know, I think it all depends kind of what I eat and if it's something super salty I had before or whatnot. But I don't usually have that much problems these days with flying.
Well, that's good.
You know.
But no, I think it's interesting to see the difference of how these two preps in terms of like the diet wise have been. Like what would you say because you're consistent throughout the whole time.
Yeah, right? I'm like, from what I'm kind of gathering from your diet versus mine, mine's more linear.
Yeah.
Yours is more up, down, like with your fluctuating carbs and stuff. But yeah, I mean, my diet is actually a lot easier than like the training portion. I always say like the diet is never really a problem for me. I don't get hungry that much. I'm hungry when I first wake up, but I don't have that many cravings. Like when I first prepped years and years ago, like my first preps as an amateur, I was so food obsessed and all I could think about was food and I had cravings really bad, but my body is kind of like adapted to it. And I've also found good ways to like cook food and flavor it.
I also think as time goes on, you do start to take that mindset out of it.
Yeah. And I think too, it has something to do with your palate, like resetting on your taste buds. I swear you can train your taste buds. I'm not kidding. And I think that's another reason too why I'd be afraid to have like a burger and fries, having normal like food.
Well, I did think I was like, because I haven't.
Because then you want more.
Yeah, I haven't been hungry or anything like that. So when we started to do the refeeds, I was like, I really hope they don't make me more hungry.
Yeah.
But they actually haven't. To be fair, they haven't.
And you know, you like for example, then you have like a real cookie, and you're like, oh, that's what real sugar tastes like.
Yeah.
And then it's hard to get off of that. So part of me, I think, is afraid to like experiment with that kind of stuff because my taste buds are so efficient right now. They are so satisfied and happy. These are the happiest little taste buds you'll ever meet.
Well, I didn't
with
realize
my chicken
I watched your new YouTube. I watched your new YouTube, and then obviously we traveled together. You love protein bars, which I didn't actually realize that. I didn't realize that.
She was like, because when we were traveling, she was talking about protein bars, and like they were just a
I was like, no,
she's a connoisseur.
I'm not a fan. And then she was like, I'm obsessed. I was like, what?
She started a protein
likes
bar
protein bars.
box
I
club.
love it.
And you were like, I love it. And we were looking at like all the different ones and stuff, and I was like, to be fair, actually, those sound quite nice.
Yeah,
like the ones
it's
that
my favorite
but you
thing.
find again, I think America has way more variety than like the UK and anywhere else anyway. So, but I definitely have seen some really good protein bars. I like the Power Crunch protein bars.
Oh, those are good too.
They're just a lot of fat, but they are great.
I do think you're right about the training your taste buds though, you know, and this is going to get a little probably too far. We'll have to go into this another day, but there's this philosopher. It's kind of cool. This philosopher, Miyamoto Musashi, he was like one of the best like Japanese warriors of all time. He was like one of the ancient samurais, but he had this thing called the Book of Five Rings. And one of his rules in the book is don't chase the pleasures of good food. And it was like in his rules, he had like 20 something rules. And he said the basically chasing the pleasures of good food would only result in you getting used to that food and then wanting more pleasures from more foods. And so like he was like very much stuck to these like rules and commandments of stuff, and people like looked at his book for years, and he's got like museums in Japan and all this stuff.
It's true though.
And it's like, yeah, it does make sense. Like once you get a taste of something and you get it, and it's funny because it's like, this is like when we have like when I have a cheat meal or something like that, I get it. And I've learned this, so I don't really do them too much now. I get it. And I'm like, that's really good while I'm eating it, right? And then after it, I just feel like I shouldn't have ate it.
Yeah, like after all these reloads we've had after however many weeks we've done them, it was the burger that I hated the most because well, I mean, in the moment after because we were not fighting, but obviously I was like, I'm not having it. I did my cardio.
It's so funny. It was like 50 grams of fat, a gluten-free bun, and like, I don't know, 90 carbs. It wasn't like that crazy.
No, but I was just like, I don't want it to like take me off course like I would cheat on my diet or anything, but like make then the process harder for no reason when I could have, like we were talking about before. But after I did my cardio, I was like, oh, I'm a bit hungry. Like, fine, whatever, we'll do it. Had it literally like the next day, I woke up so tired and like groggy. And then for a few days, I kind of felt that, and I just felt heavy, and I was like, oh, I just don't feel like nice after in what's the other way? Instead of the other ones, like the reloads we've had from like normal carb sources, either rice cakes or potatoes, I felt so good and energized. So I feel like we needed that experiment, obviously, because we wanted to see what it was
it's
like
good
anyway.
data. It's good data collection, you know.
It is.
Yeah, especially when you're in the zone, it just kind of like tells us, you know, just keep it clean, I guess. Yeah.
I prefer it. It's safer as well. I actually said it. I do prefer the safer approach.
I think like as you get closer to a show, if you're truly in the zone, like honestly, food becomes just fuel.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't even care. I just want to eat all the best things because I want to look the best that I possibly can. And you're just so focused on, you know, achieving your goal that like, what is taste anymore? It's like, whatever, you know? So it's kind of like on those carb days where like you're before a show, it's almost like, man, these carbs are just, I mean, I'd rather enjoy them. They're just kind of here for fuel. I wish I was like more into it.
Want more yeah, you're always going to want more though. That's the thing. Like if you're like, even if you were to have like however many carbs and it was like a really, really large amount, you're always still going to want more after that. So it's like just taking that like mindset away and just being like, this is what I'm having and it's fuel for my workout or fuel for my training or whatever. And that's it. And that's all you have to see it for, I guess.
And when you look at like both calorie intakes of you and Ashley both, your calories are not that far off if you take into account the reload day divided by the 7 days.
Yeah.
So the approach is, yours is technically a carb cycle, but it's really calorie-wise, it's linear on the other days with the carb cycle. And if you were to take those calories from those bigger carb loads and divide it amongst the 7 days, it would actually be just basically a linear approach. And it would be very similar to your calories working all the way down. Yeah, she's a little bit lower now, but she's still having the reload day. So technically we're probably like 100 calories lower than your diet.
Yeah.
Like
it's interesting.
Yeah. It's about 100 calories lower if you were to take in that big load day and divide it amongst the 7 days. Yeah. So it's funny how that part is kind of similar.
It's all kind of like, it's different approaches, different methods, but it works different for the athlete because our bodies are different and we're in different stages.
Yeah. And I can see too, is like, I know you said you experience like being flat and being tired sometimes if you don't have carbs. I don't feel that way, honestly. It doesn't, for me, being flat takes a lot, I think, and I don't really notice that much of a difference, and I don't mind being flat. Yeah. Adam's the one that will point it out to me, like, yeah, you're looking flat, we need more, and I'm like, I like being lean. I like the feeling of being lean, so for me personally, like, if like, let's say, putting the competition aside, I don't mind being flatter if I'm lean, being like compact versus being full but maybe a little softer. I will always prefer being leaner but flatter than softer and full, if that makes sense, on my everyday life. Like, I just like to be
what, everyday life?
Yeah.
Well, for Ashley, she doesn't get to she's only been, after the flight of UK was the only time she got, we call like stringy, where you get flat to the point where you look smaller, right? Yeah. Ashley's flat is not like flat like most people's flat. Like Phoebe actually gets pretty flat pretty fast. Like, so she'll actually get kind of stringy. Yeah. It takes a couple shows, but she can kind of get stringy faster than you. It's harder for Ashley to get. So like it is with Ashley, you don't have a huge variance of like for what Ashley does. She's actually like the perfect person to do what she does. Yeah. Cause her carb, like if she's a little bit flat she will spill over I will say quickly, but but you have so much room to play with in the flat area that you really shouldn't have to spill over. Cause you can, if Ashley's 90% full, 95% full, or 85% full, the looks are very similar. So it's like, okay, as long as we keep in there, we don't need to push super, super hard and risk the overspilling, right? But with Phoebe, it's a different game. We have to pretty much hit it. And the thing with Phoebe is you kind of want to be, if you can, you want to be a little bit leaner than you need to be. So we can't afford to just go for those carbs and fill out. And I don't know what happens at the end. With Phoebe, I do think you get a little stressed at the end, or you overthink things, and then she gets flatter. Like the closer you get to show, she starts burning through carbs faster. Yeah. So like that's the other thing too. And
I'm moving more because obviously we'll be traveling to the show.
Maybe it's just the travel for you that does that. I don't know.
I think it is because obviously when I fly, that's where I tend to lose, and then just general walking and stuff, and just actually getting to and from the airport, to and from the venue, checking in, all that sort of thing. I think that in general, and then socializing and stuff as well.
Yeah, Phoebe's she is the socializer of the IFBB. She's
the biggest extrovert. I absolutely love
everyone's Phoebe's friend.
I feed off people's energy. I feel like if I don't like speak to people for a long time because I'm in the house on my
I think
own
it's
at the
great.
moment.
Yeah.
I'm in my own
Poor
house.
Phoebe.
No, I don't mind it. I don't mind it because it's allowing you to focus. But if I'm alone for too long, I'm literally like, that drains me.
Yeah.
Dang, we're opposite in that
Yeah.
aspect too. I'm a loner over here, and I love my alone
No,
time.
I don't. I do like my alone time. Don't get me wrong. But if I do that all the time, I'm exhausted. Like, I will be exhausted from not talking to anyone or like. It's weird. I'd really like feed off people's energy. I have to like recharge my social battery, which is so weird.
That's cool though. That's
I
cool.
like it.
Everyone's-
I do like it.
Yeah, everyone's different. What's funny is that you meet so many people though too. Like it's funny because we go to a show, and I mean it could be men's physique guys, bodybuilders, like all these different people that aren't even in your realm, and it creates opportunities and stuff for you too, which is cool. Yeah,
but
so
no, I enjoy it. But no, like you were saying before, like in terms of like you like staying lean, we're opposites in there because I like being fuller.
You like that off season
curvy.
booty.
I love being curvy. I love it because I feel like for me, I don't know, I don't feel very like womanly. For me anyway, I don't feel very womanly when I'm too lean.
Oh, really?
Because I feel like small and like quite, I don't know, for me anyway, for what I've personally experienced, I don't like the feeling of it for too long anyway, because it serves a purpose obviously for me,
right?
In terms of like the being that lean, and then obviously being slightly softer. Don't get me wrong, in my off seasons I sometimes do take it a little bit too far, but I feel more confident in that sense in like normal people clothes, gym clothes, all that type of thing. Like I actually cover up more now probably than in my off season.
Which
is
crazy.
interesting because a lot of people like will do the opposite because they've gained more body fat, they've gained more weight, so they will cover up more because they don't like the way they look. I actually will show off more because I'm like, I like the way I look more. If that makes sense. Because I feel like I have more of a butt, I have more of like shoulders, I have more like shape to me. Yeah. Versus now, you know, you say before
she were working out her shoulders and they had like some veins in them. She was like, I
don't
hate
like
this.
them. I hate being veiny and striated and like having like it's cool for a second, but I just don't feel very womanly in that sense. Yeah. So I don't massively like it. So I will cover it up. My butt is flat at the moment as hell, so I don't like it at all. So I will put like joggers on. So but in off season, obviously a little bit more curvy. So I don't mind showing that off, I guess.
Yeah, I don't like to be too fluffy because like my thighs rub, and I know people are going to be like, "But you're lean, Ashley, even in off season." But I'm telling you, the way my legs are built, my knees are very knock-kneed. They like face each other.
So do mine. So do mine.
So like even if I get
yes.
So even if I get like a little fluffier, even if I like got up to probably like a 128, I will have some thigh rubbage. I hate that. It feels like I'm trapping myself. Like, I don't like that.
So
and I can't wear short shorts. I like to be lean and just like efficient and athletic and stealth and agile. Like I can just jump and I float to the sky, and then when I walk, I'm walking on air. I like that feeling of being so lean and efficient. I love it. It feels so nice. It feels like I can just jump out of my seat and just sprint to the front door and you won't even see me. I'm just
Ashley's worried about the aerodynamics.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that sounds more of
I don't want 10 pounds holding me back. You know, I want to just float. I'm like, but you got to admit though, whenever you are contest lean, you're just like floating on air when you walk.
Yeah, that
do you not feel that way?
True.
You just feel like so efficient.
Well, I feel it's weird because I do. I say I feel heavy. I feel like because I'm more tired in contest prep, so I drag my feet a little bit more. So it's weird that you actually say that because I'm like, I feel heavy. Like yesterday, I had my rest day, and I was like, I feel so like tired today and like heavy. So I don't know. I think, like you said, everyone is so different in that sense. Like we enjoy different parts of the process, which is absolutely totally fine. Because I think everyone's like, oh my god, you have to be this certain amount in off season, you'll have to be this certain amount in prep, and like, no, you don't. You can do whatever you want, and like you said before, whatever is best for you. And don't get me wrong, you can take it too far as well though. So you do have to have a coach to, you know, make sure you are going in the right direction. Yeah. But whatever is making you happy, that's what ultimately you have to do.
Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think however it sets up your in season to be the best. And I think with experience, it's going to come with experience. I like people in the most part staying leaner in the off season, but I also now, you know, you've kind of showed me too, and Nicole, you know, showed me too. You know, for some people, it makes sense for them to maybe go, you know, I usually say about 10% above stage weight for maybe 15, 16% above stage weight. And that gives you that mindset where you can actually crush it while you're in prep. And then that's what matters for you. I think there's nothing wrong with that.
And I think something also to note is like her physique wise too, probably is better at doing it than someone like me, because I always say this, like, whenever you let yourself go too far in the off season, and if you don't have enough muscle to begin with, and then you start cutting, your main focus is going to be cardio cutting, and you're not going to be able to maintain that muscle or put on that muscle. So I think, like, you know, for someone that you already have an abundance of muscle, that's okay for you. But for me, like, if I got far enough off season, and, you know, we're always trying to build up my upper body, and then next thing you know, my focus becomes gotta get lean, you know, I'm not gonna have the most energy in the gym to build these shoulders or maintain them. In fact, we might have to lose some muscle trying to get super lean all of a sudden for something. So you know,
I think that's a really good point to make, to be fair.
And also your prep was longer too.
Oh yeah.
So
and
that's something to note.
That helps a lot.
Yeah. So you didn't just go from in season or off season and then right into, like, okay, we're like a month out kind of prepping. So it's like a slow process.
Yeah,
yes.
100%.
So that's another, I guess, tactic that would help
focus
maintain muscle.
because the first month was pretty easy, the very first month. But how many months is it? Are we getting close to 5? What are we at, like, in terms of prep for this? Is it 5?
No, it's
16,
like it was since July we started. I think July. I don't know.
So it'll end up being 5 months.
It'll end up being 5 months by the end. Yeah. Which, to be fair, most people kind of would their whole prep, if they were to do however many shows, to like diet down into a show and then do maybe multiple shows, probably accumulates to that anyway, half the year. But yeah, I'm again, it's brought my best. So I don't think the process that we've gone through has been a bad process. And again, it's a different process. And there are going to be different ways that we're going to kind of make it easier next time. But I think it's worked, and it's brought a great package. So that's all.
Yeah, I think so. So I guess we'll leave that there since we're getting in our hour and 20-minute podcast.
Yeah, it's a long podcast.
But that's good. It's a fun one, though. It's always fun. I think people can take a lot from this one. But yeah, so I think this might be the last one we see on you before the Olympia. So
I just want to say as well, guys, you can come visit us at the Meet the Athletes event on Thursday before the Olympia. So since it's our last one with her here, let's just make sure you can visit Phoebe and me at the Meet the Athletes.
I hope we're next to each other. That would be so cool.
Yep,
that would
and
be
it's
really cool.
Thursday. That is Thursday from, is it 4 or 6 to 6 o'clock? What time is it?
Throwing out random numbers.
I have it in my phone.
It's from 7.
I know, my bad.
It's from 7 o'clock for VIPs.
I'm going to be there all day.
8 o'clock for general public.
Oh, that's right. 7 for VIP, 8 for
AKA past my bedtime.
Yeah.
I've been going to bed at 7:30.
Hey, guys, I'm going to let you guys know this ahead of time. I'm going to cut their lines at 9 o'clock. I don't care if you're in line. I'm going to cut their lines because they need to sleep.
Someone's
they got the
gotta
Olympia.
be the a-hole. Yes.
Yeah, and it's always me, and I'm usually nice, and I'm like, oh, no, it's okay. And then everyone's like, they get there like at 10, and then they give me this story.
Dude.
And the people that get there like at 10, they're like, oh, but I flew in just to see her. And I'm like, if you would have flown in just to see Ashley or whoever, you would have been first in line.
Yeah.
Like, don't give me that at 10 o'clock.
I'm sorry you have to do that. Honestly, they should have security to do that so it's not, because the other athletes that don't have an add-on.
I'm pretty sure it ends at 10 anyway.
No.
Is it not?
9. Oh, 9 was what I meant. It's 9. They'll get there like at 9 and the lines will still be there. And like, oh, I flew in. I'm like, no, you would have seen it. So, guys, I'm sorry in advance. The Olympia is important for both of them. I'm cutting the line at 9.
Here, folks.
But anyway, we'll give you a couple plugs. This is Phoebe's apparel line. One of them.
Yeah, Be Better. I just literally launched them yesterday. We're halfway
I saw that on your YouTube. Really?
Yeah, we're halfway out of stock.
They'll be out of stock after this for sure then.
Yeah.
How do you get those?
You can go on my Instagram, go on to my little link on my profile, and then it's bebetterclothing.com.
Be Better Clothing.
Yes.
And then muscleegg.com/Team Elite Physique to keep Ashley full of eggs.
I actually really I'm going to take some home.
And both of these girls are Angel sponsored athletes. So
I'll be there. I don't know if are you going to be on the Friday of the Olympia?
Yes, I'll be there Friday.
Same. I don't know what time, but
I think noon.
Yeah, I think so as well.
So
same with me.
we're going to be putting out some stuff this week for the stuff we're going to have going on here at the prep center, but we're going to have a posing class before check-ins for the athletes on Tuesday. We're going to have open gym workouts. The posing will be open to people who are competing at the Olympia. We'll have a bunch of things going on. Angels is going to have their people here for anyone who's doing the Angels fashion show to watch the Olympia. There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff, so stay tuned on that. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.